All right. Good afternoon, Nico. How are you doing today?
I'm doing just perfect. Doing just fine. First of all, welcome back. The dynamic duo of Pierre Lindh and Nico Jansen is back on track. Uh, we, we, we're back in the online world after meeting live and in person. Thank you once again for the experience in Barcelona. It was fun. It was really fun seeing you and the team once again. And looking forward to another live session where we have just awesome topics to cover.
Absolutely. So WDS last week, obviously a really good conference for us both, I believe. And I can see that we are both skipping the Amsterdam show that is currently taking place here, but you can't be everywhere at once, I suppose. Instead, I'm sitting here in Malta. Obviously, I've turned into a tomato here in the meantime. 38 degrees here in Malta, but that's how it is in end of June here. Nonetheless, Nico. We have a great show in front of us here today, as per usual. And it was funny because when our marketing executive here, Elizabeth, asked us for topics a couple of days ago, there wasn't really that much to discuss, actually. But then today and yesterday, everything just exploded here. So we have a full menu ahead of us today. We have a special guest who's going to come on in a couple of minutes here as well, which is Thomas Wendt of Apparat. He will be joining us here a little bit on the backs of the news that YOLO Investments have invested in this a German game studio, basically Apparat. So that will be interesting to discuss. Then obviously we have Entain as well, who has been giving a trading update. And the interesting story of Entain is that they are basically now saying that the gambling industry is not recession-proof. And we're going to go into that story a little bit as well. This has been a debate for quite a long time here, of course. Is the gambling industry recession-proof or not? And Entain is taking a stab here that it's not recession-proof. So that'll be an interesting discussion. And Nico, you are obviously German, and a topic that is close to your heart, of course, is the headwinds that we're seeing in your market at the moment. And we are seeing here a story that is developing really surprisingly, that has been flying really under the radar, which is that Betsson is significantly scaling back on their operations in Germany. Other than that as well, we have the fact that the Premier League, we might be seeing a ban on gambling sponsorships here as well, which we're going to go into. Some interesting dynamics happening there, considering, I know that you mentioned, Nico, the fact that Stoke is owned by a gambling company, Bet365. So this is also calls into question what's going to happen on that side as well. And then we have a couple of other topics as well. The fact that the banks could lose big on the 888 debt sale. It's a story we're trying to understand. It's very financially technical, but we've been trying to decipher this story a little bit better to the audience as well. And then, of course, Kindred is finally re-entering the Netherlands market here under Unibet.nl, which was the former kind of one of the most profitable markets of Kindred. So the question is, how are they going to be able to rebuild the database within that market? And as we have comments already here alluding to, is continued headwinds in Europe. There's other stories that we probably don't have time to cover today, but there's additional headwinds in Romania, for example, where players are now being imposed with a much higher tax on their winnings, for example. So not a great week for the industry per se, but we're still going to decipher and talk about what this means for the industry. What do you think, Nico? Does this sound good to you?
It just sounds awesome. To be honest, it just sounds awesome. And as you already mentioned, we have a little bit of a special guest here as well. And why don't we just start with your brother from actually the same mother, business-wise?
Oh my god, so that's a bit of a long shot here, but essentially YOLO Group, which is our lead investor in iGaming Next, have decided to invest into the German game studio Apparat. So we have the special guest, the co-founder Thomas Wendt. So if we can get him into the live stream here with the flick of a button, there we go. Welcome, Thomas, to the live stream here today. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. Hi, Nico. Hi, Pierre. Yeah, fun to hear that I have an unknown brother. But I guess I have a lot of them with the YOLOs. And I'm happy to meet them end of this month. So that's the first time going to the YOLOs and see all my other siblings. Yeah. Thanks a lot for the warm welcome. Yeah.
Absolutely, Thomas, and I'm looking forward to see you in person here in Tallinn later on in the month. And we can see, by the way, before we get into Apparat here and what you guys have produced so far, we can see that you are at IGB Live. Can we have some comments so far on how is the show? Is it successful? Has it been a good show so far?
Like always, on the shows, always in meetings and not seeing much of the show itself. Yes, it's crowded. You get a lot of alcohol. I'm looking a little bit deranged from the yesterday evening, so I try to flee when it gets too hard. No, from our perspective, quite successful. So I just rearranged the meeting for you, but I still have only around about 15 minutes. But first time for me in Amsterdam, I've been on ICE or on Sigma or iGaming Next. I've been there last time. So yeah, this is a good show. We will be here next year too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Thomas. So, and thank you for rearranging your meetings here. So we're going to keep this short and sweet here now. So Nico, I know that you have prepared a couple of questions here. So do you want to start off?
Yeah. So first of all, congratulations. Yeah, from a German to another German, it's always good if people are actually, eager to found their own company and start things off. Can you walk us a little bit through what Apparat Gaming is about? Who are you? What's the team? So all the things you can talk about.
Okay, like I said, I have only 15 minutes, and I'm kind of famous for taking too much on this. I try to keep a long story short. Yeah, you said starting something new. I'm quite old, so this is a little bit about my own story. Because with my university, I started a development studio in game. Means not gambling, but real gaming, today called serious gaming. I did 10 years from the 19s and sold this company to a listed TV producer, which is now part of Viacom. I was a little bit working as in my own company is something completely different than being employed. Afterwards, I did it more than 15 years on other jobs in the gambling industry, but I was keen to be kind of self-employed again and taking my own risks, taking my own chances, and nobody else's fault if you fail. So failing is not an option right now. What we did is, or what I did is, I started after my own company. Working 10 years in kind of land-based. For, don't know, Nico, you may know it, Schmidt Gruppe, it's one of the, I think still is, land-based operators. I started there at an IT company and later on changed to Bally Wolf. Bally Wolf is number 3 in the German slot manufacturer market, and I was for more than 6.5 years, managing director responsible for development for the product, games, hardware, software for Bally Wolf in direct competition to Gauselmann and Novomatic. It was a very intense time, and that was also the time when we started to take a closer look. Me personally, I started 2009, always pushing Schmidt Group. Take a closer line. Online will happen with or without you. You have to go there. But as always, people are a little bit conservative. They feared about cannibalization of their own markets. Regulation is always an argument. So it went very, very, very slow. And what I saw in parallel, that was a partner of Bally Wolf. I at Bally Wolf as managing director was also responsible for the online. But the owner of Bally Wolf always said, okay, let's move a little bit slower and let's see what our partner was doing, and he's a friend of mine, Dietmar Hermjohannes from Gamomat, and he was developing really, really well. So what I decided for myself, when the regulation in Germany came to reality, because we've been waiting for that for a few years, what happened now is not the best what could happen to the German market, but still, I decided to now take once more my own chances and found my own company. So this is not my own, it's a team. So I know that up to now only Alina and me who are kind of seen in the market. She is director and CEO. I'm also in a few of our companies, but here visible at Apparat. Apparat is our brand out to the market. So what we do right now is we still believe in online market, in German online market, and do, like Nico is also having with the German accent. The slogan was a little bit invented by accident in a presentation, but we focus on the German market because it's the market where we come from, what we know, land-based, online. We made a few experience. We believe this market could develop. I just read, Nico, that, or I don't know who of you was the one who said Germany is only number 3. I always thought it was number 2 in the European area. Italy probably bigger, I believe, in the German market, but of course we aim at the German market. So that's where we aim for. We are 7 co-founders. Most of them, or every of them, I have been working for partly 10 years, 15 years, more than 15 years. Team size is actually 11, still searching for more, even especially with the money from YOLO. Of course, we have a few freelancers. And up to now, we got an MGA license November last year. We got YOLO as an investor. We already released 4 games. We'll do that for the next 12 months. 15 games in development, so release a game each month. We have partners, aggregation partners like Pariplay, Relax, United Remote, a few more to be announced within the next days. So it's hard time right now, especially with the German market, but we still believe we have a good chance to find our position there. And once more, iGaming with a German accent, but we think much more than just German market, but we start here with the German market because that's where we have the experience and where we know the players' taste, and where we wanted to get a first step into the market, and therefore we had to build up a kind of portfolio. It's not the most innovative one, but very good quality. So we wanted to get a foot in the door with all the big operators and aggregators. So, my time run up?
No, all good. As you already highlighted, so you're not the new kids in town. Your overall team are veterans to the iGaming industry, and you specifically now just regrouped as one team. Have been funded by the YOLO group, who usually or only invest into iGaming companies. You know, the rising stars. There's one rising star just I'm happy to share the stage with each and every week, which is a good thing. Can you just walk us a little bit through how the overall preparations actually took place, and why you specifically aimed for being funded by the YOLO group?
Yeah, to be honest, we were young, needed the money. No, it means in the beginning when we started, and when I started to leave my kind of safe place at Bali Wolf, it was much better paid than this is right now. So in the beginning we were a little bit naive, expecting that everything would go faster. We would start earning money earlier. For example, MGA license, it took us more than a year. Still a few people telling us we're quite fast. In the beginning also told us, hey, this is the best application we ever. Then it still took another 11 months. So that was, of course, a time when we expected money to come in, and without the license and without the possibilities to go online, it wasn't. So what we did then, we thought, okay, we want to grow. We see the chance in the market, and we decided to keep up the pace and decided to do a financing round, which was not part of the initial plan. And as normal investors, normal VCs are not interested in gambling for good reasons, because they have partners which is forbidden, alcohol, gambling, whatever. So we wanted to find a partner which could share our vision, understand what we are doing. We don't have to explain this to him. And what I did is I made a kind of a blind test if there would be some interest in us. So what I did is I found YOLO Group. I just pinged Tim on LinkedIn, and from that point, everything very fast. A little bit too fast for us, because in the beginning, when he said, "Okay, I'm very interested, send over your pitch deck," we didn't even have a pitch deck at that time. It was just I wanted to find out, is there somebody interested, and if they say no, who else should be? So, but they said yes, and then we had to speed up a little bit. So that was the point. How it came.
I can relate to that as well, Thomas. When we also went through this process with the YOLO Group, it was a phone call with him, and he said, "Yep, this sounds great. Let's do it." And a couple of days later, the contract was signed. That's how it is. It's fast movements with the YOLO Group, and Tim knows what he likes.
Yeah, and in the end, we have to admit he was a little bit pushing to be the only one in our first round, and he also offered us a little bit more money. Yeah. The point was we had some other opportunities, because of course we did a pitch deck. We sent it over to some other partners. We had possibilities of strategic partners, but what we do is first thing is we still, of course, now more than ever, believe in the company. So we wanted to have as much for our own. That was one part. So one big partner, which doesn't limit us for later rounds, would be perfect. And the other part was, of course, their experience, the network, the renommee on the market. For us, it was kind of the perfect fit. So, and as they pushed to be the only one, we said, okay, can't be wrong. And we have to admit now it's the news is out, but they decided for us and we decided for them quite a while ago. But due to MGA license and the due diligence and build up the setup with another holding, so we founded a holding in Germany to put all together that, because we have a studio in Berlin, we have the Malta entity with having the MGA license. We have to restructure that a bit, and who knows about the notaries and the lawyers as well in Germany takes time. And due diligence is something we completely underestimated. So, so the decision is The decision is much older, but now everything is done, and we can focus on our real work again.
Yeah, congratulations so much, Thomas, to closing the deal with the YOLO Group, and of course, congratulations to YOLO as well. I'm really looking forward to see you in a couple of weeks in Tallinn here, Thomas. I know that you are short in time here, so you have a calendar to adhere to. Big good luck at IGB, and again, congratulations. Thank you for joining us here on short notice today, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
All right, brilliant, Nico. Very, very interesting to hear it straight from the horse's mouth here for the successful round that they just completed in a very difficult environment, nonetheless. You know, with investors not really deploying that much capital at the moment. But congratulations, and especially in the German market as well. So interesting to see that investment going through. I would like to jump over when we are saying. Go ahead, Nico.
1 second. This is just an underlying fact. You know, you just had the podcast with Tim as well. You know, when he was speaking about, okay, he doesn't care about the literally the surroundings as soon or as long as he is convinced of an investment. He just invests, right? And this is just another example. While others might ditch out of the market, he just keeps on investing, you know, and this is just another example of his investments, of the YOLO Group investments. And fun fact as well, and on a short notice, this news has just been released by the YOLO group. So we have been the only ones actually having one of the Apparat guys in the talk as well. So it was just fun to hear their side of the story as well.
Look at us, breaking news left, right, and center. From one thing to the other, Nico, and we can see in the chat today, there's some comments around, headwinds in Europe, drawbacks, and it's just a tougher and tougher climate is what we discussed here earlier on as well. I want to slide in a little bit to towards the UK a bit. It's not particularly a topic we have planned for here today, but one of the points that we do have on the agenda today is the fact that Premier League is considering to put a ban on gambling-related advertisements, essentially through the teams. And just before we jump into that, I want to just mention here. Obviously, there's a lot of turmoil in the UK at the moment, and the Gambling Act review was supposed to be launched here now in a couple of weeks. But as we know, today Boris Johnson resigned from government, and just the other day as well, the gambling minister Chris Philip also resigned as one of the many ministers in the UK who resigned here the other day, just to kind of put pressure on Boris Johnson, who then as a follow-up resigned here today as well. And this puts a little bit question of the white paper of the Gambling Act in the UK, if it is going to be delayed here. In the letter of resignation I'm trying to find it now. I don't have it. I don't have it right in front of me right now. But in the letter of the resignation that Chris Philip, the gambling minister, published, he was very adamant in this letter to urge Boris Johnson to go ahead with the publishing of the white paper into the Gambling Act, basically. But with all the turmoil that is now taking place, and obviously Boris Johnson himself resigning, I would question if this white paper is going to be further delayed now, and we might not see this white paper being prioritized at this very moment. And something perhaps which gives the gambling industry in the UK at least a little bit breathing room. Although I suppose at some point you want to have clarity in order to operate your business, but whatever is going to be contained in this white paper is probably not going to be very positive for the industry. So perhaps a little bit extra breathing room on that space. But nonetheless, Nico, I know that just sliding back here into the Premier League potential ban on gambling sponsorship. This is something the Premier League clubs will vote on in the immediate future. And Nico, you had a good point here. It's not exactly a Premier League team. It's Stoke, which is in the Championship, in the second league, is owned by Bet365 Group. And you had some kind of interesting thoughts on this, I think.
Yeah, so, with respect to gaming companies, being the shirt sponsor or exclusive partner of Premier League teams, so the overall kind of wish to actually ban gaming companies from being involved into Premier League clubs, this ain't new news, right? We've seen this in other markets. As soon as a politician always aims for, we need to ban XYZ gaming sponsorships within the Bundesliga or the Premier League, these are low-hanging fruits. So this is a discussion which is going on for years. Just take a look at Italy or Spain, where gaming companies are not allowed to actually sponsor these clubs. And as soon as these headwinds came up the first time, Stoke has just been, relegated from the Premier League down to the Championship. And, this is when the discussion actually started. Like, okay, just looking up the Wikipedia page of several Premier League clubs, it was always like, okay, they have sponsorships of XYZ, etc. West Ham, they have been close with Betway, and then out of a sudden you just realize that Stoke City is owned by Bet365. So if the Premier League clubs actually vote with 14 votes to actually ban gaming companies for advertising in the Premier League clubs, as soon as Stoke will be able to actually be part of the Premier League once again, I just don't have an answer how the overall structure might change at that club. If you're not able to advertise as a gaming company, how can a gaming company actually own a Premier League club? So this will be very, very interesting to actually see. What might be one fact is the money they actually earn from TV sponsorships is insane in the Premier League. They are in the billions, so they actually don't need this extra money from the gaming companies, although it's good money, especially it's within the millions. But if you get billions from the TV stations, of course, probably then you are likely to vote against additional sponsorships from gaming companies.
Right, and we have a comment here as well from Bob Slots, who's mentioning, as an example, Stake, which perhaps to some extent has ignited this debate within the Premier League, sponsoring Watford. And as some of us know, obviously, Stake also announced the sponsorship, the shirt sponsorship of Everton a couple of weeks ago, which has sparked a lot of controversy within Everton as a club, because Everton, prior to this deal, publicly stated that they will not attract any new gambling company. And then obviously they did a 180 and confirmed Stake as a shirt sponsor, which according to Everton was the most lucrative sponsorship deal, shirt sponsorship deal that they had set to date. 20,000. There's a petition that's gained 20,000 signatures to cancel this deal, and this has now sparked obviously the larger discussion here of the gambling ban. So headwinds on this front, and I suppose this kind of leads us into a little bit, to some extent, into the next topic. Just while we are on the discussion of European headwinds, if we now move over into Germany, Nico, which I know obviously is your home turf here, the next point that we want to discuss today is the fact that we noticed here the other day something strange, and we had a discussion around this because we just couldn't make sense of it. It's the fact that you visit Betsson.de from outside of Germany. The site looks totally normal. It's operational. It's fine. But if you visit Betsson.de in Germany, you are prompted with a message that Betsson.de has shut down since back in May, more than 2 months ago, essentially, or about 2 months ago. Betsson.de had basically shut the doors to German clients. This has flown under the radar, seemingly. No other kind of news portal has covered this story. It has not been in the German forums. It's not been anything. Can you talk a little bit more here, Nico, of what happened? And then obviously during the week we have investigated this topic, and we've gotten some comment from Betsson as well to add to this discussion.
Yeah, first of all, shout out to Robert Lenzhofer from Hölle Games, because he actually found out, like, okay, Nico, are you aware of Betsson actually shutting down their slots in Germany? Because as soon as you just try to Google it, you won't find any hits, because it's, as you mentioned, it's totally under the radar. First of all, for their slots division, and also for their sportsbook, which they shut down already in 2020, as soon as they agreed on a cooperation with the Pro7 Sat.1 Media Group and founded Jack One. And even the sports betting entity of Jack One, they also shut down in May. So out of a sudden, and without any kind of notice, Betsson literally left the German market. They just left the German market. And of course, you can always state, like, yeah, okay, this happens once a while. We've seen other companies leaving the German market as well. Kindred left the German market. due to the kind of hassle they had with the licensing process, which for sure isn't best of breed as of now. And fingers crossed this will change, because Germany is, and as mentioned by Thomas as well, within the top 3 markets all over Europe, with at least double digits and billions with the handle you can expect in Germany as well. So that's why we have been quite curious why they actually ditched out of the market or sneaked out of the market in stealth mode. And the statement we actually got from one of the Betsson representative, if I'm not mistaken, Jake got that statement, that they are focusing on the risk casino, spelled RIZK, and they are just in the last hurdles of getting the license there, and then they will restart the operations in Germany with the risk, exactly, the risk casino offerings, and then they will they still hold a license to operate sportsbook in Germany, and probably they will restart this one as well. But one thing we can for sure state is that Germany ain't an easy market. It's not a market you can actually enter with low money being involved, because having ProSieben and Sat.1 Media, it's one of the biggest TV brands we have in Germany, and they fully agreed on the Jack 1. Fun fact is, we also had been in talks with Bet at Best and the ProSieben group, as they wanted to become shareholder in our company as well. Back in 2020, we already had a contract literally pretty much agreed on, then suddenly had to focus on COVID, the Congress. So it's interesting just to see how things evolve.
Absolutely, and I'm just gonna read the statement here that basically, and again, kudos to Robert Lenshofer for being the first person who noticed that the Betsson.de page was not available to German customers anymore. But basically, we reached out to Betsson, and after about 2 days, we got a reply, basically, as they had not communicated anything to the public markets. So what Betsson said is this: whilst we have indeed shut down some of our operations in Germany, we are still operating our award-winning horse racing brand RaceBets, which is licensed, and we are still awaiting license for Risk, our casino offering. This is the strategy for Germany currently. We also have a license to operate sportsbook, which means that we can start offering sports betting in Germany in the future. And when they mention in the future, they don't really go into detail here if this is closely into the future, is it further into the future, or if it's not decided yet. But obviously, this statement kind of asked for more answers, and so our managing editor Jake, he didn't let this go. He has a follow-up question for Betsson, and I'm gonna see if I can find. So basically, Betsson continues here to say that the change on the Betsson DE was quite recent, in end of April, and the decision was taken as part of our current strategy for Germany. We're hoping to get the license for Risk in the near future, but the timing is up to the regulator. The sportsbook license, allowing us to potentially start offering sports betting in Germany in the future, is for Betsson. Okay, so essentially the strategy that they will be implementing is they're going in with Risk, their casino brand that formerly belonged to GIG back in the day. That's the strategy for Germany. And it's also interesting to note that this is a similar strategy as they have chosen for the UK, where they also withdrew almost all the brands within the Betsson group about a year ago in order to focus on the Risk brand specifically in the UK market. And so similarly now in Germany, they are focusing on the Risk brand in this very tough regulated environment. But then they also want to be able to offer sports betting through the Betsson brand here as well. Interesting. This is interesting because as a publicly traded company, you would have expected communication from Betsson to happen earlier. This is a big strategic shift, of course, and when Betsson decided to pull their brands from the UK and focus on the Risk brand in the UK, there was also a press release that was attached to that. So really great work from Robert Lenshofer to notice this, to let us know, and then great work by Jake Evans, our managing editor, for digging deep into this question, of course, and providing some clarity on the plans here for Betsson. But it's a tough market, as you mentioned, Nico. Kindred has already withdrawn from the German market. If you go to unibet.de, even as from a Maltese IP, as I'm sitting on, you get prompted by a message that that unibet.de has ceased operations, which is not the case if you visit betsson.de. So it's a quite interesting dynamics there, Nico.
Yeah, and as you already mentioned, so they have in Germany, you can look this up at the RP Darmstadt whitelist for sports betting. So they have different URLs they could operate with. So first of all, We Game Limited is the license holder, and one of the, or a couple of URLs they can offer is Betsson.de, BetSafe.de, Jack1.de, NordicBet.de, and RiskSports.de. So they already have lined up some of the URLs. But as you mentioned, it just smells a little bit strange if someone sneaks out of a market, especially if you're a listed company, right? And you don't even give out a press release, right? And at some point, someone always finds out. And once again, shout out to the Sherlock Holmes himself, Mr. Robert Lenshofer, who actually found out this one. And as Jack also experienced, they are still continuing to be a little bit quiet on the why they actually sneak out of the market.
Absolutely, Nico. So interesting nonetheless, and now the story is out there. I know that there is a story coming on this on our news portal as well, shortly as well. So keep an eye out on iGamingnext.com for more details on this story as we go along here as well. I would like to jump over to the next topic now as well, which to me is probably the most interesting story of the week here, together with the Betsson story, which is the fact that this morning Entain provided us with a trading update. And if we look at, I'm going to see if I can find the trading, what Entain is trading at the moment. Let's see here. So Entain is currently down 6.5% on the stock market, but they were down 12% today after this trading update. Essentially, Entain is basically showcasing a drawback in terms of NGR. They had lost about 7% NGR compared to last year, and question is, of course, why is this drawback happening? And when I say NGR, it's on the online side specifically. So a 7% drawback on online compared to the same quarter of last year. And Entain is providing a couple of reasons for this. They are mentioning the fact that they had to withdraw from Netherlands, of course, as one of the reasons for this. They are providing another excuse, which is stricter affordability checks in the UK is another point as well. Tough comparables is another point that they are saying, that basically 1 year ago we still were facing lockdowns due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and obviously now the world has opened up again, and so comparables are still quite tough. But the most interesting point here is the fact that Entain is saying that due to the macroeconomic climate, the increasing inflation rates, tougher financial situations for individuals, they are choosing this as kind of one of the main points to why they have seen a drawback in NGR, essentially. And this is interesting because we have been discussing whether the gambling industry is recession-proof or not. And what Entain is clearly stating here is that they can already now see a clear drawback in certain markets. They are pointing specifically to the Baltics, for example, which have seen which are seeing up to about 20% inflation compared to last year. And they are seeing that this is definitely something which is affecting people's spending habits, including the disposable income that the customers spend on gambling. Essentially, they are saying that other markets we don't see this drawback in so far. For example, Australia, they have not seen the spending habits change, kind of the average bets and so on and so forth. But again, European markets, this is where the issue is once again, and I think this is a bit the red thread today, is the headwinds in the European markets, and Entain is again pointing to the fact that the increasing inflation is something which is causing the revenues to decline essentially here in the Q2. So after this trading update was done, the markets showed a 12% decrease on the stock market. I'm going to see if we can, maybe I can get this up here. So we can see here, basically 12.5% down on the week. Now, during the course of this half an hour, which we have spoken in this live stream, they have regained a couple of percentage points here, but still they are significantly down on the markets. And if we zoom out even further here and look at an Entain trading update from the last 5 years, we can see this kind of like camelback, if you will, where after the pandemic started, as many other publicly traded companies saw, especially in the gambling industry, a big uptick all the way through to halfway through 2021, and then a steep decline, which we are now seeing. And we are kind of normalizing the evaluations of the gambling companies to how the industry looked like just before the pandemic. So the valuations are again coming down to those same levels, down about 50 to 60% in most cases. So this is the story, and because of this trading update, this also pulled down the likes of Evolution, which was down about 4% today. I think even further, they were down. Let's see. They were down about. They were down quite a lot actually. They were down about 10% even. Evolution today. No, am I looking at this wrong? Let's see here. Yeah, they were down a couple of percentage points nonetheless. I'm having issues here with my software next to me, but 888 similarly as well. 888 saw a drawback too on the markets today, which we can see here. 888 is down about 12.4% on the markets this week, and the expectation is, of course, that if Entain is showcasing a drawback, then the expectation is, of course, that other operators will have a tough quarter as well in Q2 to be announced. So those are some insights there. Is anything, Nico, that comes to mind here throughout this conversation?
Yeah, so first of all, what comes into mind is the last acquisition they announced when they literally stated that they bought back into the Dutch market with the acquisition of Betsson, and with a deal worth up to 850 million euros, if I'm not mistaken. And if you just take a look at the stock market price, 1 week prior, they actually, kind of announced the deal where they have been traded around 1,400 whatever, and now they are down to 1,000. So it's a nearly loss of 40%. 40%, and this just shows that numbers in the stock market usually don't lie. First of all, the actual shareholders probably don't believe in the acquisition of Betsson, or the overall market doesn't buy the story. Investing this heavily into one specific market. I'm pretty sure if they would have invested the same amount or double the amount in the US, everybody would have literally gone crazy. Like, yeah, that's the market to go. The US is the golden nugget. This is the Lord, the land of the Lord, etc. We had all these kind of craziness in the US market, but it seems like, you know, the old-fashioned market in Europe, then your stock price is just on the verge of going down, which we can see for Entain.
Absolutely, Nico. So interesting story developing on that front, and this is you know, the tough comparables is the story here, because when the pandemic broke out, you know, the publicly traded company did not really give warnings to the shareholders that these are exceptional times. We can't expect this type of growth quarter per quarter, you know, things like this. They were instead painting the story that this is kind of organic growth that is taking place of the industry now, and now we see kind of the industry coming back to normal again, and instead we hear, you know, tough comparables now, which is compared to these conditions when there was lockdowns and so on, and so investors perhaps did not expect this drawback to happen because of the language that was used in previous quarterly reports. But another organization that has not been doing very well in the last year, just like the market overall, is 888, and I want to slide into that story now, essentially, which is the fact that 888 is currently going through this reverse merger, essentially, where they are taking on the international business of William Hill, and in order to finance this deal, you know, the market cap of 888 is only standing at about 700 million pound. But I can't remember by heart now. But the deal basically to acquire William Hill was essentially bigger than the market cap of 888 was standing at. And in order to finance this deal, they have basically agreed to a £1 billion bond together with JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley. And this was a way then to close the deal and take on William Hill assets. And I know that William Hill and 888, they did a big summer party here in Malta the other week, where they're kind of celebrating that they are stronger together. And so the merger is absolutely taking place at the moment. But there's now issues arising, not exactly within the 888 and William Hill deal, but the funding by the banks are in a bit of an issue right now for JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley. And just as a disclaimer here, okay, I am absolutely not a financial expert, so I'm hoping to explain this decently enough. And Nico, feel free here to interrupt if I'm not on point here. But essentially, how the bond is structured is that JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley basically guarantees this loan to take place, so this bond, essentially. And what JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley is trying to do is to sell the debt. They don't want to hold this debt themselves, so they try to sell it to investors, essentially. And that's why it's called a bond and not a loan, because a bond is essentially a loan between private investors and companies. But the issue is that because of the difficult macroeconomic climate, it's showing itself difficult for JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley to sell the debt. And so this means that when it's difficult to sell debt, is that they have to basically sell it at a discount, which means that they, JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, could face big losses on this debt sale, essentially. Do you have any more insight on this, Nico? Like I said, I'm trying to understand the story myself.
All good, you know, especially with the information we can actually get. It's kind of hard to, you know, actually value the deal itself. So as you totally correctly already mentioned, so the overall deal size was 1.9 or 1.8 billion euros, so at least double the size of the market cap of 888. So they needed to get money somewhere or somehow. So then you can initiate a bond. A bond, as you mentioned, is a promise for the future. when someone lending you money will get, a price for the money they actually lended you. I don't know the internal interest rate, which should also be very, very interesting. We can't find it in the news as of now, right? So usually the underwriting parties, as you mentioned, JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, they take it on their own books, first of all, and then they resell it to investors. As of now, they offer a yield rate. Yield rate is the rate or the premium you offer the investors for buying back their debts. And as of now, the yield is valued with at least 10%. Besides this yield of 10%, they already keep roughly 750 million of this 1 billion bond on their own books. And they initially wanted to sell each and everything. So 1 billion for sell. And they were like, okay, so as we can't find an investor or investing parties wanting to have the 1 billion, we will keep 3/4 on our own books, which is an indication of didn't work out as planned. And as of now, they are offering a yield of 10%, and they want to buy back in 2026 or 2027. So it's a bond with a length of 5 to 6 years, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, 4 to 5 years. So someone lending you money and the yield is 10%. So after 4 to 5 years, you will give him 10% more of he actually pays for this one. So this is where the banks could lose big on the 888 debt sale. That's pretty much from the information which I could get my hands on. As said, I didn't get the interest rate, the dividends they wanted to pay on a yearly basis, which you can also do when handing out a bond. So we just have to read in between the lines. But what we can already read is that, keeping 3/4 of the overall deal on your own books just indicates that you didn't find any investors at all yet.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And again, it goes to paint the picture of a very, very shaken up financial world at the moment on a macro level, of course, and what this will mean for future investors and so on will be interesting to see. Nico, final point today. I want to talk about the fact that Kindred is now relaunching in the Netherlands market. Now, for those of you guys who remember, obviously, end of September, you could call it the Black Day or whatever you want to call it, where from one day to the other, obviously, Kindred had to cease operations in Netherlands before they got the license approved in the Netherlands market. This caused, from one day to the other, a 35% loss of EBITDA for the entire Kindred group. Enormous backlash in Kindred, of course, and this hurt the company on the stock markets, and they have continued to fall since that day. That was the peak of Kindred's share price, was kind of like the 26th of September or somewhere along those lines. Now they have managed to regain the license, but the issue now, of course, is that they have to start from scratch. They are not allowed to use the previous database that they have built up over the last 20 years in the Netherlands. They have to start from scratch. So all old customers, they have to register a new account. Kindred is not allowed to use the emails for marketing. They have to start from scratch. And Kindred are no strangers in operating in difficult regulated environments. They are strong in the UK. They are strong in Scandinavia. And now, of course, they are looking to rebuild themselves in the Netherlands market. And in order to do this, they have launched a quite aggressive marketing campaign here, essentially, in order to kind of regain old customers. They announced a partnership with Ajax, the famous Dutch football club. They are now introducing 10 euro free bets. They are introducing 200 free spins to new customers. 40 euro in live casino chips. and a 25,000 euro giveaway. And we can expect this kind of aggressive marketing from Kindred in order to restart the market. But the question is, how long will it take for Kindred to be profitable? I wonder if investors are aware of the fact that just because they are restarting in the Netherlands does not mean that they now will become profitable from day one. It will take time to, of course, reach EBITDA positive state in this market. And I am really curious to see how the Q3 numbers particularly will look in the Netherlands market when Kindred announces these in a couple of months. What do you think, Nico?
Yeah, so first of all, and just repeating what you've just said, and we discussed this already, as soon as they needed to actually step out of the market, they lost up to 35% EBITDA. It's not revenues, it's EBITDA. So it's even more significant than just losing revenues. It's
Yes.
so it's a different pairs of shoes. And another fact is, while they needed to sideline themselves from the Dutch market, all other companies actually have been able to, sign on the user bases. So the others have a head start of at least 9 months. And this is why they now need to invest heavily into marketing campaigns, gain back the trust of the customers, make them aware of, okay, this is once again Kindred, a brand I'm very familiar with, because regaining a customer which actually signed up for a different brand is pretty much cost intensive. So it ain't easy, and that's why their spendings will be huge. We will just see how the Q3 numbers will actually turn out, and how it will actually look like. There's one example from a company which invested heavily into a new market. It has been Caesars in New York, maybe a different pairs of shoes because they have never been live in New York, but they also had to cut their costs for their marketing campaigns. And if you just read through all the headlines, it's always Kindred investing massively into the Dutch market. We'll just see. As you mentioned, Q3 numbers will be interesting to see. Q3 and Q4.
Absolutely, Nico. And this is the exciting time now again, because now earnings season is starting. We are past Q2. We'll start to see reports popping in, and that will make these calls all the more exciting here as we go forward. It is a little bit like March Madness over in the US, where the basketball teams compete against each other. It's a little bit like Super Bowl, or maybe a mix between the both. But the reporting season is definitely my favorite time of the year. So we're gonna look forward to start seeing these reports popping in here again. So that would be exciting to follow up on. But before that, Nico, it's been an absolute pleasure here, as per usual, to spend this hour together with you. Really interesting things going on, as per usual. It's been great to follow up on these stories and to research these stories with you, as per always this week. Always a big thank you to the audience for chiming in and for giving us some good insights and comments here as well. And I suppose, Nico, it's time to head down to the beach for a little pina colada.
Yeah, to join you in the red face club you're mentioning. So I'm more the northern type of guy. 25, 26 degrees is just my type of weather. I'm feeling very, very comfortable, all good, and just looking forward to it. And one more fact, as this just breaking news, which just hit the news as well, touching down on what you've just said about how tough the UK market actually is. On a short note, and as we're pretty much already exceeding the time, Bet at Home, their UK license has been suspended by the Commission as they are undertaking a review, and they are stating that specifically Bet at Home might have fallen short on social responsibility and anti-money laundering failings, both listed as key consideration in the suspension decision. And this just highlights that, we've always been speaking about authorities taking a stand, securing the market, taking care of social responsibility, AML restrictions are taken care of. As of now, they are literally fining companies, suspending licenses, even for tier 1, tier 2 operators. And this just shows how tough the market actually is, and how much money you as an operator need to invest actually to be part of the market. The entry barriers for markets in Europe are quite significant and quite high.
Absolutely. Interesting insight there that is popping up here right in the middle of the live stream as well, that this news breaks. Thank you for that, Nico. And also just thank you to our sponsors as well, PlayZone, Simpler, for keeping us active here each week. We really appreciate that. For everyone who is over in at IDB in Holland at the moment, in Amsterdam, take care of each other, stay safe, have fun, but not too fun. Yes, we are in Amsterdam. Okay. And we will see you here next week again. Thank you so much, Nico.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.